My cousin's new husband seemed perfect, until I saw what his smile was hiding. I have to keep smiling. If I stop, I think my face will slide right off my skull. The muscles in my cheeks are burning, and my jaw aches like I've been chewing on stones, but I don't dare relax. I can't. Not after what I saw. Not after what he did to me. It started 3 days ago, at my cousin Callista's wedding. I hadn't seen her in years, but family is family. I'd never met the groom, a guy named Lorcan she'd been with for less than a year. They were rushing it, everyone said, but she seemed so happy in the pictures. Radiant. I saw him for the first time as he walked down the aisle of that old, stuffy church. Lorcan was tall and unnaturally pale, like he'd spent his life in a basement. He wore a perfectly tailored black suit, and as he took his place at the altar, he smiled at the guests. It was a big smile. A perfect, toothy Hollywood smile, and it never left his face. He was smiling when the music swelled and Callista appeared at the end of the aisle, a vision in white. He was smiling as she joined him, her eyes shimmering with tears. He was smiling through the vows, which was the first truly odd thing. The priest would ask a question, and instead of answering, Lorcan would just nod, the smile stretching the skin on his cheeks so tight it looked like polished marble. He smiled when they were pronounced man and wife, and he smiled as he leaned in to kiss her. His lips pressed against hers, but the smile itself didn't change. It was like watching a mannequin perform an action. It was still plastered on his face as they walked out of the church, showered in rice. I told myself he was just happy. Overjoyed. Maybe a little awkward. Some guys are like that. But at the reception, the wrongness of it started to set in. Up close, under the warm lights of the banquet hall, the smile looked like a mask he couldn't take off. His eyes, a pale and watery blue, darted around the room, but they were empty. There was no warmth in them, no joy to match the massive grin. He was a lighthouse, sweeping a dead light over all of us. When dinner was served, I watched them at their sweetheart table. I couldn't look away. Callista was talking, laughing, her whole face alive with joy. And Lorcan just sat there, shoveling braised short rib into his mouth. He'd part his lips just enough to slip the fork in, then clamp them shut, chewing loudly, audibly, while still smiling. Have you ever tried to chew your food while baring all your teeth in a wide grin? Try it. It's impossible. It's monstrous. They made their way to our table to greet us. My sister, Isolde, was gushing. You look so beautiful, Callista. And you, Lorcan, so handsome Lorcan, just stood there, towering over me, smiling down at our table. His eyes jittered from my face, to Isolde's, to our uncle's, never resting, never focusing. It was like looking at a cheap animatronic. Once they moved on, I leaned over to Isolde. There is something seriously wrong with him, I whispered, my voice tight. Why is he still smiling like that? Isolde shot me a look of pure venom. Oh, stop it, Zeno. He looks happy. That's not happy. That's a seizure for his face. He's in love, she snapped, turning away. Maybe you wouldn't recognize it. Her words stung, and I shut up, but I kept watching. No one else seemed to notice. They laughed and drank and danced, all while this smiling statue moved among them. He didn't drink the champagne during the toast, just tilted the flute at his grinning mouth until it was empty. Not a single drop spilled. I had to get away for a minute. I excused myself and went to the men's room, the thumping bass of the music fading behind me. The silence of the tiled room was a relief. That was my mistake, not realizing he had vanished from the dance floor at the same time. I was splashing cold water on my face when one of the stall doors creaked open behind me. I glanced up at the mirror. It was Lorcan. He was just standing there in the harsh fluorescent light, his skin looking waxy and gray, and he was still smiling. Not because he saw me. He was already smiling when the door opened, as if he'd been smiling alone in the stall. He walked to the sink right next to mine, his shoulder bumping against me, even though there were 4 empty ones. The fabric of his suit felt cold, impossibly cold. Great party, I mumbled, just to break the suffocating silence. He turned his head slowly, a smooth, frictionless movement, those pale blue eyes fixed on mine in the reflection. My blood ran cold. "The band is pretty good too," I stammered, my hands dripping into the sink. He just stared. And in that silence, I realized I hadn't heard him speak a single word all night. He hadn't said "I do." He hadn't given a speech. I hadn't even seen him talking to Callista. Just the nodding, the staring, the smiling. I took a step back, drying my hands on my pants. His eyes tracked my every move. I reached the door, my hand on the handle, ready to bolt. Then he stopped smiling. It was the single most horrifying thing I have ever seen. As the muscles in his face went slack, everything slid. His cheeks sagged downward like melting wax. The skin under his eyes drooped, his forehead seemed to drift. A thin, clear fluid, like tears, began to weep from the corners of his eyes and mouth. For a split second, his face was a loose, shifting curtain, and I thought I saw something dark and empty moving behind it. I froze, my breath caught in my throat. Then he grinned. With a sickening, silent snap, everything stretched back into place. The skin pulled taut. The sagging flesh vanished. The smile was locked in again, as perfect and horrible as before. I didn't wait. I wrenched the door open and practically ran back into the reception hall, my heart hammering against my ribs. I grabbed Isolde's arm. "We have to go. Now." "Lorcan is... Zeno, for God's sake. Will you just drop it?" she hissed, yanking her arm away. Her eyes seemed to gloss over as she looked past me. And there he was. Lorcan, striding smoothly across the dance floor, back towards Callista. He moved with a liquid grace that didn't fit his stiff appearance. As he passed our table, he slowed. He leaned down, his face close to mine. He reached out and pressed his thumb into the joint of my shoulder. It was just a single point of pressure, but it was so cold it felt like a burn. "It's been 3 days. There's a cold spot on my shoulder that won't go away. A deep, aching cold that has nothing to do with the temperature. It feels hollow, and every time I look in the mirror, I notice something new. The skin around my eyes seems a little looser. My cheeks feel heavier, like they aren't quite attached to the bone anymore, like they're just hanging there. So I've started smiling, a lot. It's the only thing that makes the feeling go away. It's the only way to hold everything in place.